Linda? It is 9:05, and so we are set up and ready to go here whenever you are.
Okay, we are ready. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Cumberland County Public Library Board of Trustees on Thursday, October 21st, via GoToMeeting. First order of business is to introduce our special guest, and today we have with us from the Friends of the Library, from West Regional Branch, Deborah Melvin. Deborah?
Good morning. I'm happy to join you today. I have a short report from Friends. Right now we have 252 members for 2021 and going into 2022. And happy to announce that we have a book sales event going on. The Friends Overstock Bargain Book Sales. It's a 2-week event. The first week brought in $1,911. And right now we're into the second week of it, which started on Monday, October 18th, and will run until Saturday, October the 23rd. And finally, our next Friends meeting is November the 3rd, Wednesday, November 3rd, and the trustee has scheduled to attend, and I hope I do not mispronounce his name. It's Jeremy Feibig. Hi, Jeremy. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
If I may jump in real quick, just to support what Deborah mentioned with the amount of money. So I know I don't have the exact cost of all books, and Deborah helped me out, but generally the books that are being sold in this clearance sale, they're being sold for 25 cents each, because it really is a clearance sale of some of our materials. So to make $1,910, I did the math the other day with a general of 25 cents each. It was like 7,000 books that have gone out in our community. So I just wanted to kind of put some numbers with that amount so everyone would know how much that is. That's excellent.
It is.
Thank you for that. That's fantastic. Thank you for the work of the Friends, because I know people in the community were looking forward to this book sale returning. So I'm thrilled about it and looking for more in the future.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions for Deborah? Okay, I will move on. I will move to approve today's meeting agenda. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I'll do a roll call vote. Ann?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Thank you. Dennis is not on, right?
Yes, I am. I as well.
Okay.
I did the second.
Okay, it's not coming up on the screen. Okay, thank you, Dennis. Okay, and then I'd like to move to approve the meeting minutes from September 2021. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on those meeting minutes? Okay, I will do a roll call vote again. Ann?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And Jeremy?
Aye.
And aye for me. Okay, thank you for that. And now we will move on to our library director's report. Director Phillips.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. We are getting my PowerPoint situated. Awesome. Excellent. So I think we're doing some technical stuff. Sharing the screen. You should all be able to see my screen soon. Excellent. So today in our report, we're going to introduce new staff, go over service award recipients. I've got some updates to share, and then I want to talk a little bit about the feedback and highlights from the community needs assessment that was done in 2019 and 2020. And also with that, some questions about strategic visioning. And the clicker is not working. All right. Excellent. So welcome new staff. So we have one new staff member with us today for the GoToMeeting. His name is Terrence Page, and he is a General Library Associate at West Regional. Terrence, we are happy that you are with our system, and if you could just take a few seconds and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you. I'm proud to be here with the library system. Just a little bit background about myself. I'm a Fayetteville native. I graduated from Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina. And one thing that really brings me here to the library system is that I really enjoy public service and helping our patients, our local patients, and me having a well-versed background in technology, I'm able to, help the patients here in the library with the various technical issues that they may have or anything that they may need done here in the library system. I'm willing, and I'm just proud to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Terrence, we are glad that you are here, and we just thank you for all that you're going to be doing at West. We're excited.
Thank you. I'm proud to be here.
So we have a service award recipient for this meeting. It is Amy Allison. She has 15 years of service to the library, and she is an associate at North Regional Library. So updates. Updates is recently, I think last week I got the notification, we have received $30,392 from the Federal Communication Commission as a part of the Emergency Connectivity Fund to sustain our hotspot service through the end of next fiscal year. We have had initial meeting. Oh, yes.
I have a question about that. After those funds run out, is there a plan to continue that or?
Absolutely. So one thing that I am looking at right now is we have E-rate funding, and there are other funding options. We're doing the budget process. So I'm going through my very first budget process. So we are working with that because I want to take and see, it kind of goes into our coach that I'm going to mention. I want to see how the hotspot service and the coach may come together and what that looks like. So I am exploring other options, but I wanted to get us through this fiscal year.
Okay.
Good question. So going with that, we had initial meetings with county leadership and Matthews Vehicles on our custom coach that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners. We are really excited. I actually we had a visioning session on Friday. We had meetings on Thursday with members of internal fleet management and IT and budget was there. So we had all the people in the county at the table who are going to help us make this a reality. And then we had a visioning session with library staff, with the management team. And we had so much fun. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a combination bookmobile and classroom. So it's really going to be a mobile library that we can go into some of our underserved communities or just out in the community, and we can provide library services. So we're really excited. And as we get farther along into the visioning sessions, I'll bring it back so you all can see it and we can get input. We're just not at that point yet. So I have been working a lot with our internal library leadership. So that's my management team and the branch managers on how to build trust, empower staff, foster innovation, and we're transitioning those groups into working groups. And we focused on our strategic goals and communication plans. We've had some really great leadership meetings over the past 2 weeks where we've really gotten into some really good discussions, I would say, Nora, of how we can work and really just build trust and empower staff in our system. Also, it is LSTA grant season. So the letters of intent for the LSTA grants for the state library are due on November the 1st. And so I have also, in concurrent with that, we're in budget season. So I have been taking and going to each location and the management team, and we are meeting with that location manager, and we're conducting what I'm calling an audit of the location. And we are focusing on what I'm calling core functionalities that we need to focus on to make sure we can do our core services. So that's checking books in and out. That's accessing internet technology. That's, providing spaces. And what are those top priority budget needs that we need to have in our requests, or we need to plan out and to think about? So one of the top things that has come out is our RFID technology. So that's what we use to check in and check out. So that's something that we're looking at. But with that, we're focusing on core items with budget and what we need to do and what our plan is and that kind of thing. But I'm also asking every branch manager in those meetings, if you could have one thing for this location that would just make it the best library on the face of the planet, what would that be? And so one thing that has come up is technology. So we will be working together on an LSTA proposal for technology updates and meeting with county leadership and with IT to figure out how we can do some technology. We had a meeting yesterday with a branch manager, and they gave us a vision for their location. It was excellent. I'm really excited with some of the branch. It's headquarters. And that's, I mean, all of the locations we've gone to have been great, but we've got some really cool things that might be coming in the future. So that's what we've been working on, a lot of visioning for the future, a lot of planning of how we can serve our community. What does our community want? What does our community need? And then how that is reflected in our spaces and our services. So they've been really great locations, or really great meetings. So I had a meeting with Belinda the other day, and we were having a conversation, and she asked me about the community needs assessment that was done back in 2019, 2020, and that you all were supposed to have a kind of an update from the doctor who did the report. And then I know that, COVID happened and things paused. And so we're at a point, I think the doctor who worked at it actually no longer lives and works in North Carolina. But I wanted to bring the main takeaways to you all from the community needs assessment. It actually is a full document that we can try to get you all copies of. But the main takeaways were, as you can see, to continue to focus on pre-K, youth, and teen resources with focus on pockets of children in poverty, to partner with schools to work to ensure third grade reading and math proficiency are high. And just a caveat here, we had an excellent meeting with the assistant principal and one of the staff members at Capital Encore Academy the other day, because that school does not have a library in their building. So we are working it out where it will be consistent visits to headquarters library for that school. We're working on student access cards. We are really excited about this partnership. And that's just one of many initiatives that we're working on. Increase the percent of county residents with a library card. Emphasize marketing and outreach of library and all its services and resources. Going back to the library card, I was having a discussion with the leadership team the other day about this, and we were throwing ideas out there. And, I said, well, ensuring that we have a lot of people with library cards, it starts at home. How many staff do we have? That I want to make sure that our entire staff have library cards. We only had 3 staff that didn't have a library card out of 143, and I think they were new staff. So that was excellent. And we are talking about initiatives maybe with county employees that will be coming to do library cards, because it starts at home and then we build it out. Ensure fast and reliable internet and Wi-Fi at all branches. Increase digital access overall in adult programming and services with the areas of job and workforce development and technology. Suite of services for members of the military, their families. Structured programming around the high priorities identified for Cumberland County. Make use of existing resources and solutions implemented by larger urban library systems serving individuals experiencing homelessness. So this is evidence-based. Make sure we have evidence-based practices. Align our services and programming around the community's top daily activities. And that goes back to responding to our community, talking to the customers when we're there, talking to people when we're out in the community, not just in the library buildings. And we were in Hope Mills the other day, and there was several folks in line waiting to check out their books. And so I walked up and I said, if you could see anything in this library, what would it be? So asking those types of questions and just seeing what they need and just talking with people. There's a desire in our community for collaborative-based spaces. Address staff, so there was a staff survey that was a part of this assessment, and addressing the opportunities for improvement. So more resources, improved communication, more outreach, programming, improved teamwork. So we're really working on that with some of the meetings that we have and some of the initiatives that we've started. Improved training, work together to improve, like I said, communication, teamwork, management and leadership, and really make sure that we have a shared vision and a shared culture at our library. And when we're working on our strategic plan, because there was a draft that came out of this, but we're doing some revisioning with that, and that will come a little bit later in my presentation. But really making sure that it's a plan that reflects what everyone is doing and that we all buy in to that plan, because it's our library family plan. It's not just my plan. It's not just DMT's And then, of course, partner with the county, community, and other agencies to serve populations who may use the library. So those were the main takeaways from the assessment. And like I said, I can provide more detail or I can give copies of the report. Just let me know what you would like. But with that, so there was a draft strategic plan that came from that. But like I said, I want it to be our plan, and I want to get your advice. So I have questions for you all, and we can either talk about some of the answers to these questions now, or I can assign homework, and it could be homework for questions to bring back. But what I want to know from you all is, where do you want the library to go? What do you want to see in our libraries? And like the same question I've been asking our staff, if there was one thing you could get for our library, or one thing you could do for our library and our community through the library, what would it be? One thing that we're talking about in library management meetings is increasing circulation, increasing visitors to the library, making sure that that people know that we're here and that they're coming in the door. If you could do one thing to do that, what would that initiative be? And then what's one area where our library excels? What do you see? Because we want to build on that. We want to improve on that. And then where's one area that we can improve? Where do we have challenges maybe that we can do better? And what solutions do you all have for those areas?
Would you ask Mary to be kind enough to send us those?
I will.
Because I would love to have this as homework.
Absolutely. Then I will assign homework. And any information that you all want to bring to the next meeting. I think my next report, if it is okay with the board, I would like to actually have it more as a conversation around these questions. Because I really want to get your advice. You all represent different areas of our community, different backgrounds, and I would love to get your advice and your buy-in into our strategic plan. So that was the end of my presentation for today. Do you all have any other questions for me?
I'm surprised, honestly. I love the new website because before it was kind of hard, even for somebody like me who sits on the board, to find certain things. That has gotten a heck of a whole lot easier. And I keep discovering, I love the resources section because I keep discovering all sorts of new. Every time I called down there to ask the question, well, go to the resources and scroll down to whatever. I think if the library's social media could maybe highlight one area of the website every so often. Like, hey, did you know that in our resources you can see all the census information? Or did you know that you can do whatever, because if I don't know, I'm pretty sure there's like bazillions of other people that don't know, And or next week you say, hey, we have all these book clubs, go click there and, I think that would be great. A, clickbait for your social media, and B, people would know a heck of a whole lot more about it.
And it drives folks to our website, which is excellent as well. Luckily, we have the two people in the room that work on our social media plus Sally.
We're trying not to put Sally on the spot.
I think that's great, and I think Tracy, Nora, I think that's within our capacity to do.
I kid you not. Every time I call somebody down there, like a couple of days ago, I booked a librarian in the history section because I'm working on a project on military medals and ribbons, and I have found a site where they're all listed. But like every computer screen is different, and I don't know if the colors are true, and I don't even know if that website's accurate. So I booked a librarian, and I went down there and I said, can you help me figure out if I have the right list? Because I don't want to recreate 220 medals, and then somebody walks up to it and says, well, you're missing one right there. And they immediately said, yeah, if you go to the resources and the Library of Congress, And I'm like, so, and I've gotten that answer every time, pretty much, about it. And it's free.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. That's great. Thank you for that. Does Anybody else? Does anybody else have any other questions or comments or anything like that?
Faith, I just wanted to thank you for putting that together about the main takeaways from that assessment, because I think it's important that we continue with that work that Dr. Chow started. And I like some of the work that how you're connecting it to the new strategic vision. So I definitely appreciate that, and I look forward to doing the homework.
Thank you, and thank you for mentioning it the other day in our conversation, Belinda. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Other comments or questions for Director Phillips? Okay, we will move on now to old business, and I'm going to turn it over to Ann McRae, who is the chair of our nominating committee, and she's going to give us an update on appointments and reappointments.
Yes, the county commissioners had their second vote and approved our two new appointments, Joseph Bartweiser and Ariel Matthews, and our one reappointment of Irene Grimes at their meeting this past Monday, October 18th. And then, so according to the bylaws, nominations for officer slate, the trustee nominating committee recommends the board of trustee officer slate, board chair and vice chair, for election by the board as a whole at their November meeting. All trustees are considered eligible for offices. As the nominating committee chair, I will poll all board of trustee members to ascertain their interest in holding the seats of chair or vice chair. Consideration will be given to a trustee's longevity on the board, previous service as an officer, and willingness to serve. If needed, the nominating committee will meet at 8:30 a.m. on November 18th prior to the trustee meeting in order to discuss the results of the trustee polling. Then the committee's recommendations for chair and vice chair will be brought to the full board at the November 18th trustee meeting.
Any questions, comments for Ann? I just have to say, having the opportunity to be a part of the nominating committee when the interviews were held, the two candidates that were moved forward, their enthusiasm for the library was incredible. We are going to be so blessed to have both of those people sitting on the board because each one of them is coming with different strengths. I love that Ariel is a millennial and is also a military spouse, and also is studying to get a degree in library science. So she's bringing a whole new perspective to the board that we haven't had previously. So I think that that's really good. And Bart was just, his enthusiasm was off the charts. I mean, you couldn't have gotten anyone more enthusiastic about being a part of this team. So again, I'm really looking forward to meeting them in December. Won't get a chance to work with them, but that's okay.
Yeah, we are looking forward. They're going to be excellent. Very excited about it.
They are. And Ann, thank you so much for the work you did on the nominating committee. You really put this together and reaching out to candidates and in scheduling meetings with the help of Marilee and just getting this work done. So I really appreciate all that you do. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to new business, and we're going to hear from Nora Armstrong, who is going to give us her annual report.
Thank you, Dr. Wilkerson. I'll wait for the report to come up. Okay. This is the sixth report that I've prepared under this current long-range plan, and of course, it'll be the last one under this plan. Normally, I talk about fiscal years, but I hope that you don't mind. I'm taking a little bit of a liberty this time. The pandemic conditions of the past 18 months have had such a profound effect on our work that I'm going to cover the period from March 2020 when we closed, and most staff were sent home, all the way through to June 2021, which was the end of the past fiscal year, plus a little bit of what we're currently doing. I'm directed by this long-range plan to report to you on two things specifically. The first is that I will evaluate and report on the programs and services that support the customer in receiving assistance with or benefiting from staff use of digital media. As you will see, we've relied very heavily on digital media over the past 18 months. The second is that annually I will evaluate the programs and services for effectiveness and attendance. A report will be included in the annual trustee presentation. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to give you some numbers, but I'm also going to tell a story or two along the way. If library programs and services had a theme song for the past 18 months, my top two candidates would be I Will Survive and I Made It Through the Rain. But then I'm a librarian, so I thought about book titles, and I've come up with a few that I think can describe our journey. Okay, up until March of 2020, we were purring along, library was going, operating, everybody was fat and happy. The biggest news that our director announced her coming retirement in June, but then we found ourselves in the middle of a pandemic. Almost everybody was sent home for 6 weeks, and we tried to figure out just what this coronavirus thing was all about, and we wondered how it would affect our lives and work. It became clear that going back to normal operations would take longer than we had first hoped. And I am sure that at some point, each of us thought that we could write our own version of Defoe's Journal of the Plague Year. But a silver lining to our experience is that we have learned the importance of being resilient and flexible and finding new ways to offer the services and programs that the community has always relied on us to provide. The key to being resilient is the ability and willingness to adapt, improvise, and overcome. I said that we closed down for 6 weeks. We never really shut down all the way. Among the essential employees who still reported half days was a group of 4 librarians who came in to answer phones and handle email and chat reference. Meanwhile, those of us on the admin team got the opportunity to live out that slogan of adapt, improvise, and overcome in trying to figure out how to restore library services. We decided within a matter of days that we could issue e-cards. People could call or email us, and we would set up an account so they could access our digital resources. The first day we offered this service, we issued 7 cards. For the 6-week shutdown period, 306 customers got e-cards. Between March of 2020 and May of 2021, when we welcomed customers back into the building, we gave out 484 e-cards. These 4 librarians also handled our chat reference service. During the close down, they responded to 150 chat reference sessions. For that same March of 2020 to May of 2021 period, the total chat reference sessions was 1,684. Staff came back to work on May 11th, 2020. By the end of that next week, working with circulation managers and a couple of branch managers, we had a curbside pickup service in place and running. For that year-long period between May and May, before we welcomed our customers back, staff recorded 49,096 curbside transactions, and we collected a lot of stories of delighted customers who expressed how important access to the collection for that time was for them. By the way, we relied very heavily on social media to publicize all of this, and Tracy will have more information about that for you in a few minutes. Now let's talk about programs. For this portion of my report, I'll be discussing programming for adults. Carla Brooks, our Youth Services Division Manager, will be doing a report later in the year, and she will tell you all the wonderful stories that her people have done. Between March of 2020 and June of 2021, of course, we had no in-person programming at all. So just as we had relied on ebooks and e-resources while we were shut down, we turned video programming. By the end of July 2020, we had begun producing a series called Crafts Around the House. It started out as a program to show viewers the crafts that they could do with things they already had around the house. But now it's morphed into 5 to 7 minute long videos that demonstrate fun and easy craft projects. We also did a few instructional videos. We did one on how to download the Livy app, also did a resume how-to. Adult services programmers produced 99 videos that racked up 1,136 views, including one that Rita from Clipdale did on do-it-yourself lanyards for masks, very timely. They've got 103 views. Staff in the local and state history department have worked with partner agencies and produced many videos. They have a couple of popular video series. They did a 5-part series on Fable's African-American heroes. They've got a total of 1,044 views. The 5-parter they did about Marine Corps General Lejeune did even better. That got over 1,100 views. We're currently scripting 2 special local and state history videos. One will be an overall tour of the room and the collection, and the other will highlight the digital preservation there. Book clubs, of course, are an essential programming offering of libraries. North Regional's Marissa Mays last year about this time came and asked if she could start an online book club using an app called Book Clubs. It was so easy for her to set up and use that we moved all of our book clubs online using that app. We have 5 groups. Our total membership is 600. And 2 of our groups, as you see here, are featured on the Book Club's featured libraries page. Sabrina Taylor's group has 100 members. They read mysteries. Marissa's group, called Club Insomnia, has 393 members from around the world. She even reached out to the author of their June read and arranged for a live question and answer session for club members. They had a meeting for the first hour or so. Then the author logged on and she did Q&A with them for 40 minutes. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We have also ventured into newer programming territory with something that I call self-directed activities. Things like digital escape rooms, trivia contests, and now that the customers are coming back with us, in library scavenger hunts. The crew at North Regional, very creative. They came up with a 3-part escape room series. Escape the Sandcastle of Dune for the summer. Escape the Haunted House of Dune for the fall. And then last winter they did Escape the Bookstore of Dune. Those were a lot of fun. We've had Star Wars, Lord of the Rings trivia contests. Last month, earlier this month, we did a James Bond trivia contest. We did a Banned Books Week trivia contest and a Winter Holiday trivia contest last December. In September, Clipdale did a pirate-themed scavenger hunt to tie in with International Talk Like a Pirate Day. They came up with it on a fairly short notice, but they still got 58 participants. I think that's pretty cool. And the giveaway for that was a little eye catch. Next month, Heather at North is going to be doing the Ghostbusters themed scavenger hunt, and we are going to tie in a Frigo song list to go along with that. So we're trying to pull these resources together. I would like to add a word about the contributions of adult services staff to the virtual learning centers. Although youth services people did the bulk of the planning and presentation of programs, adult services staff were right there in the trenches with them, helping to monitor the children and assist in after-school activities. It really wasn't all hands on deck effort. So in keeping with that nautical theme, if the last 18 months have shown us anything as an organization, it's that we have taken adapt, improvise, and overcome very much to heart, and we have blown it out of the water. You see the life preservers on that book cover. We have hit every one of those. We have bounced back. We have done more with less. We have risen to challenges. We have seen new opportunities. We've reevaluated our priorities, and in a lot of ways, we've reinvented ourselves. The creativity of the staff, their willingness to try new things, to learn new skills, to take new approaches in fulfilling our mission to the public, all of this has amazed me. I am so proud of them and all that they have accomplished over the past crazy 18 months. We really did make it through them. And that concludes my somewhat unorthodox report. And I am happy to entertain any questions or comments that the board may have.
Nora, that report was fantastic. I just love how well, you're a librarian, so that's what you do, but I love how you picked out those books. And I'm sitting here trying to take screenshots. I said, oh, I've got to read that one. Definitely reading that last one you had on there about adaptability, because I said, okay, I need to read that book. So I thank you for a report that was creative and also gave us the information that we needed to hear. And you're just such a gem for this library. So I just appreciate everything that you do.
Well, I have had enough time to practice being a gem, and I'm glad that I'm finally nailing it, so.
Any other questions, comments for Nora? Okay, then we will move on to Tracy Cardenas's report, and she's our Library Awareness Coordinator.
Ready? Hello, everyone. I am here to report on the library outreach services, which have gone through some changes over the past year. As Nora mentioned, most of the library staff was sent home during the pandemic, and upon returning, we needed to get creative on ways to engage with our patrons, since everything was still shut down. So we turned our attention to social media. We decided that we would initially schedule 2 weekly posts. One was Wellness Wednesday, which debuted on May 26, 2020, and then Throwback Thursday, which debuted on May 27, 2020. Both of them were received with solid results. During this time, youth services and adult services were gearing up to produce online videos, which were story time, tea, dream, and crafts around the house. On July the 6th, the first craft around the house came out with Brianna Davis talking about folded book art. To date, we continue posting content and to social media on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. We have posted 1,289 to Facebook and Instagram, and as a result have engaged with 39,333 people. YouTube, we have, YouTube, our teams have created 293 videos, which has garnered 18,046 views. Or, as Nora mentioned, curbside pickup, we produced in-house a 4-minute video to promote the service, which has been well received and I believe has helped to create awareness to the service. And then also with social media, our Throwback Thursday has been our wildly popular. And I know some of the board of trustee members have sent comments on some of the posts, recognizing some of the buildings that we talk about. So that's been fun to read what people feedback from the community. And the post that we did on June the 10th has been the highest so far. It reached 3,488 people with 224 engagements. So finally, this year, events started opening up and the library started going out into the community again. We participated in the district summer markets put on by Cold Springs. We were out there every Thursday evening in the summer months, and we engaged with 1,206 people. We also, during the summer markets, we had story time. So we had a youth services librarian reading books to children, and also telling people that we were open again. People were still surprised that they didn't know that we were open, so we shared the information. And then we also participated in the Back to School Jamboree, spoke to 83 people. Spring Lake, they went out to the Farmers and Crafts Market and spoke to 65 people. We participated in Cumberland County Fair and spoke to 2,025 people. And I have to thank Nora, who is my supervisor, and Faith, who is as you know, the director. Both of them volunteered to work on Labor Day. So they were out at the fair on Labor Day talking to people about the library. So thank the staff who worked and also you two. Much appreciated.
And not to interrupt you, but one thing I want to add to what Tracy mentioned is that every member of the executive team at that time, so of the management team, we all volunteered for some type of outreach activity. So one thing that I shared with the management team is that I want us to be working with the staff. I want staff to see us. So I'm really proud of the team for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And then most recently, staff, we attended the Dogwood Festival this past weekend and spoke to 1,692 people. So since June, the library has engaged with over 5,000 people in just a few short months. Last, before I end my report, I'd like to share a story that someone told a staff member when they stopped at our booth over the weekend at the Dogwood Festival. So the story is, a female customer came to the table with her husband and talked about how she was going into a deep depression at all the closures last year with the pandemic. She said had the library not been there with its electronic resources and curbside pickup, she does not think she would have been with us today. Her husband echoed that the audiobooks allowed her to relax outside while attending her garden, and the books she got from the library let her focus on other places instead of the crazy mess that COVID was. To her, the libraries were the most essential part of her life, and more so than ever during the pandemic. She also shared her e-resources with neighbors who are having a hard time, or she was requesting items for them. She wanted to make a point that even in closures and hard times, the libraries are still a beacon of light and a must in communities. This echoes what a patron replied when asked what they liked best about this year's summer reading program. And Nora reported on this last time. The comment was the library personnel that made the pandemic time more bearable. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that report, Tracy. I know I'm one of the people that took advantage quite a bit of curbside pickup. So I love it, and love the work that you're doing on social media.
Thank you.
I tend to see them. I'm still trying to figure out how to share things on Instagram. I've got to learn how to do that better. But I try, a couple of times a week to make sure I share your posts on Facebook. So I thank you for all the work that you're doing and keeping the library out there front and center. And now that we're coming back into in-person events, I appreciate the work that everyone's doing to make sure people are hearing those stories about the library, because it's crucial.
Well, Linda, you can always ask the librarian how to share on Instagram.
I know I'm gonna have to book my Ask the Librarian session. So when you say it, so that request will be coming in sometime today.
We'll get the best person on.
Other questions or comments about any of the reports? Okay, I'm going to move on to other business, and I actually wanted to report on something I had the opportunity to do. Sally invited me to represent the library at the Institute for Community Leadership. So the county was hosting, I think it was 44 people in the class who are all going through this institute in order to be volunteers in different advisory boards for the community. So I had the opportunity to speak on behalf of the library. And again, testimony was given. I had to leave early, but testimony was given where one woman spoke about how the library was such a saving grace for her as she homeschooled her children, and talked about all of the resources that were available to her and her children, and that she couldn't praise it enough. So that was really good to hear, because that was, you know, unsolicited testimony. So that was really good to hear. Sally, thank you for the opportunity to talk to those folks.
I'm going to pop in the screen. I want to thank Belinda. She was a wonderful ambassador for your trustees and for our library system. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other business?
We do. So I want to think on last one. So, since you, Belinda, and Trina, are going to be leaving the board at the end of the year, we decided we're going to make that departure a little sweeter for you. And so the board is giving both you and Trina 2 tickets each to see Shakespeare. And you can go visit any performance. The reason we're doing this now is so that you have plenty of opportunity to take advantage of Sweetie's offerings for the next year and a couple months. So those you will find those in your email. They will come in an email from my email address. So as a thank you, we can't thank you enough, but we figured this might make it a little.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That is so nice. I'll probably be the person, you know, you'll see me in January, like hanging outside the window, like waving.
You know, these meetings are open to the public. You can always come. Yeah.
I know. I'll be the one at the window. You know, the face at the window, that'll be me. Any other business? And thank you for that. That's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, I have one more question, if you don't mind, and that's really business related. I came to find out a few days ago that there had been a hold on purchasing books at the library, and apparently that hold was a little longer than I had imagined. And I wanted to ask Faith about that because I think there may be a lot of patrons who have books on hold that are kind of in that same situation.
Excellent. That's a great question, Irene, and thank you for asking that. This year, the whole county has been going over their contract process. So we have a new contract process that's in place to help ensure that we are being legally and fiscally accountable as much as possible. With that, the new process was rolled out on June the 21st, and then our new contracts for the fiscal year start July the 1st. So with that, we were all learning a new contract process. So we were working with the vendors to make sure that we were all abiding by legal sufficiency with the county, and just a little bit more back and forth than there typically is. It is a wonderful process. I really cannot say enough about how thankful I am for the process and for all of the steps that are there, just to really ensure that we are doing everything for the community as fiscally responsible as possible. So with that, we had to not renegotiate, but we had to do a little bit more back and forth with some of our vendors just to make sure that our contracts were the same. And the biggest vendor that we have for books is our Baker and Taylor contract. So once we get the contract situated with the vendor and everything is good to go, what we've had to do is it has to go through the process within the county, which has multiple layers of review. Once that happens, we are, if the contract is a certain amount of money, which our Baker and Taylor contract is $733,000 for the fiscal year because the bulk of our materials come from Baker and Taylor. That actually has to get county manager approval, and then it has to come before the Board of County Commissioners for approval because of the amount. And so I came before the board in the September agenda session, and I believe it was the the September, October, 1st of October regular session where it was approved. So that is what has caused some of the delay. And so I know that it has been frustrating for some of our customers that have the new bestseller that they want to get. But what we have done is now that we know the process and we are working on that process, I have been working with my business manager within the library to make sure that, one, we either can auto-renew contracts per the approval of the county manager or the Board of County Commissioners, depending upon the guidelines, or that we are able to, now that we know the new process, we start the process a lot earlier than we were able to this year with the changes that came. So we hope to never have this delay again. And we, like I said, I know that it has been frustrating for some of our customers who have had books that have been on hold. And I appreciate their patience, but we are able to order books now. And so we have 3 months of books coming into our tech services now. So hopefully those holds will be filled rapidly. We have worked with the tech services team. So that's our team that processes our books. We have worked with them to make sure that they have the kind of schedule in place to be able to handle that and get materials out. And we actually have had really good discussions about how we can get materials out faster. So we are working on that, and I appreciate you asking that question because I know that has been a big question for some of our customers because we've gotten it. But it's kind of one of those things as we're going through and changing processes and we're all learning. But books are coming in now. We're super excited.
Okay, so it's resolved and kind of the backlog will start getting.
Oh, yes. It is resolved and the backlog of books will start coming in. Okay.
Do we have time for one more, Belinda?
Yes, we do.
Deputy Director.
We are still within the recruitment process, and we have, so one of the things that I have been working on is that we are doing kind of a comprehensive review of all of our recruitment and retention and just all of those things within the library, just recruitment, retention, how we can get the best talent, how we can market the best, to get the best talent, what it takes to get the best talent here in Cumberland County.
Okay, maybe I should have asked a more complete question. I thought that a deputy director was chosen.
We were in the process and there was a candidate that was selected, but we have some other HR items that we are working through. Okay. So we are still in open recruitment.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. And it's really taken a kind of really looking at whatever recruitment we are doing. I want to make sure that we, like I said, recruit and retain the best talent we possibly can get here. So if it takes a moment to really pause and really think about where we're going, then that's what we're working on.
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining about the timing. I just keep getting asked constantly. So apparently the deputy director is like a big thing out there too. Thank you, Belinda.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, other business? With none being had, I call this meeting to adjournment. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Great job.